I'm really excited to have Melissa here with us today to share her amazing story, not just with severe trauma and a long trauma journey, but also with the diagnosis of MS after that traumatic experience and where she came from to where she is now is totally unrecognizable. Most people would say it's miraculous, and it's just a testament to how getting to the root cause of what's going on for you and having that healing from the inside out gives you a brand new life. So thanks, Melissa, for coming on and sharing your story. It's
Yeah, thanks.
so many
So much
lives.
to be here.
It's inspired me through the whole time I've known you, and it's just so cool to be sitting here today sharing
Mhm.
your story. So would you mind starting out by sharing how long you've been working with these tools?
Um, well, actively working on things. I think I'm coming up on about 5 years.
Cool. Awesome. And where were you at in the heart of your trauma journey? Where were those toughest, lowest points of what you suffered from and then the symptoms you experienced afterwards?
Yeah, so for what back in 2016, March of 2016, I was actually gang raped by four men and had at that point, I think like life was sort of mundane. It was fine. It wasn't good. It wasn't bad. And then that happened, and that really honestly just like woke me up like, oh my God, like this happened, what's going on? And then even just a few short months after that, I decided, well, I mean, the day of, I decided that this was not going to let me, like, this was not going to take me out. I had no idea how long the journey was going to be or how hard it was going to be, but I made a decision in that day, once I had come to and realized what had happened, that no matter what I have to do, no matter how much time or money or anything that I have to spend, this is not going to stop me. This is going to enrich me, and it's going to enrich the world. And I made that decision from day one. And then just a few short months later, I got into a personal development program and, started that real deep work on myself.
Wow.
So that was really transformative, of
And,
being.
and what are some of the struggles that you had? I mean, that when we hear that, we're like, whoa, that's such a traumatic experience, right? Which is what many of the people here are dealing with, severe
Mhm.
trauma and multiple traumas. And so, can you relate what your lowest points were of some of the symptoms that you had to struggle with and overcome?
Yeah, I mean, so just like depression, hopelessness, like nihilism, like it's just not worth it. Nothing means anything. This doesn't matter. Who am I? Having a lot of doubt, and then also just being like stuck, like not being able to move forward financially, not being able to move forward in any sort of relationship or with my health or anything that was important to me, because I was constantly having to go back in and sharing this story in court, which is a whole nother level of, trauma when you actually are testifying on the stand for something that, is consequential, very consequential to the world. Um, and I had to constantly, there was all of the like, nobody's going to believe me. Like, I totally get, especially women that, like, I don't want to report because nobody's going to believe me or something, all that. Like, I get how that feels. And I had to really go to work on myself to be like, no, I know who I am. I know what happened was not okay. And I'm not okay. Like, I don't care what other people think about that and who I am, because I know who I am and they can't take it away from me. So like there were a lot of just like, you know, every week at least there was something else that was going to remind me of like the worst night of my life.
Yep.
And so I had to learn how to deal with that. It was just, and then sometimes it was just I didn't really deal with it a lot. Like I would just be like, I'm just gonna sleep. I'm not gonna do anything, kind of hide from the world, isolate. Um, but thankfully I had a ton of people in my corner that would pull me out.
Absolutely.
And
And
people such as
I love,
yourself with your
there's a
program and
couple,
all of
yes,
that.
sorry. So I love what you're saying, and I want to highlight a couple points. Thanks for sharing the suffering, because that's really where people are right now, who haven't gone through the healing journey and who are really stuck in their trauma. And I know I can relate from my own journey and my own history. I felt all those things that you mentioned. And so to see you as a beautiful woman who's whole, who doesn't even look traumatized now, it could be like, well, you just must be amazing, but I'm stuck way back here. But to really relate to the fact that you lived real life and you experienced real trauma and real PTSD, it really can provide a lot of hope that, this works even for the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
And one of the things you said was you made that choice. You made that decision. This is not going to take me down. This is not going to wipe me out. And you even said, no matter what it takes, this is going to build me up. I'm going to have a beautiful life. I'm going to be and reclaim myself. And that decision is the most important decision. Is, are you willing to suffer, or have you made that decision? I will get my future. I don't know how. I don't know what it's going to take, but I am that committed. And that's really where people have to be to start to get these kinds of results. And I love how you're also here sharing your story without any of the triggers, without the experience of trauma of the story, because you have that healing. And
Yeah.
so, part of the trauma before, when you have to go revisit those memories, if it's not healed, it's re-traumatizing. But the beauty of when that's healed and resolved for you is it's just like talking about a movie or something. There's no trauma or pain associated with it. And it's beautiful to see you here sharing your story without the trauma.
Yeah, it's honestly at this point, because I am so like I'm healed, I'm complete, I'm whole. It's almost hard to like go back there and be like and really remember how it was, because it just is not like it was so significant and so painful as I was going through it. And now that I'm through it, it's like I look back and it's like I can remember that it was painful, but I don't feel the pain.
Yes. And we talk about all that all
I
the time.
know that I went through that, but it's not painful anymore.
Yep.
Like I can say that it's painful, but I just don't identify with that.
Yeah, like the experience disappears. The past really looks and feels different, even
Mm-hmm.
though the facts are the same. And that's what's beautiful about real healing and subconscious healing and deep healing, is that you actually feel it from the inside out. It's not like, I know it's painful, but I know better and I can try to, think positive. No, it's just gone. And so I love that you're here to say that's really true. What are the biggest changes you've seen in yourself? And what is it like being on this side of things, being healed? Like what does life look like? What did you get out of this healing journey?
Um, the first word that really came to my mind now is that like I just have a sense of peace about myself, that like nothing phases me. Like it could be like I just if, as an example, I'm dealing with my dog who I love, and she's been dealing with some pretty heavy like health issues lately, and she's older, and like I went through like a moment of like upset and all of that, and then I moved through it so quickly because I was like, well, I wonder what the gift is in this.
Um,
And so like what can I be grateful for, like all of the things that she's given to me. That's not something I would have been like, well, how can I fix this, like how can I get out of the pain that I'm experiencing, and just like being allowing myself to just feel the pain without making it wrong and moving through it. It just moves through so quickly. And then and then I'm like on the other side of that, then it's great, like, and everything's great.
wow,
Know?
that's
Like
awesome. And I know
things
you
that
shared.
should be in the world, in the normal world, that should be really upsetting, and you should be very upset and depressed, and why? I just choose not to go there. I don't have to.
That's so cool.
And I can still feel upsetting feelings and just move through it.
That's beautiful. And you even said it hits me for a moment and then it goes away. Yeah, that you actually have the choice, but you feel it's not like forcing yourself to try to let go something. It's just, no, it's just gone. I moved through it. And one of the things that you shared earlier was, real life hits, your dog, COVID, and it really does shake you up, but that your experiences that you can just handle
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that stuff.
So I guess like, I don't know where we go with more of the story, but yeah, I moved to a place that I don't know, but literally like 2 or 3 weeks before the lockdowns with COVID happened. And well, there's certainly been moments of like frustration and like, a bit of loneliness. It just doesn't occur as like that bad. It's just not that,
Well,
it's just not, it doesn't trigger me. It doesn't, I don't spiral down. I'm like, okay, so what do I want to do now? Like,
wow,
I just take like, okay, this is what's so, and what do I want? Like I have the power to create whatever I want. So what do I want to create
wow,
within the parameters of whatever the world is presenting to me?
that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And what you shared too, I know the difference between this work and the conventional traditional support for trauma is so different. And I love what you have to say about it, because one, like you shared, kept reinforcing you're a victim, you're a victim, you're a victim, and triggers. And this model actually brought you through it into your power. So you share the difference that it makes to have this model instead of that traditional, conventional mental health trauma therapy
Yeah.
model.
So as I was going through the whole legal system, which is it's just broken. That's just the way that it is. I had no illusions that I was going to single-handedly fix that system. I could only to control myself. The thing that drove me crazy while I was navigating that system was how much like the advocacy organizations, the therapists, the DA, the legal system, all of that were really like, they were really, I don't know, enrolled in keeping me in victim mode, keeping me down, keeping me like not powerful and like dependent on, oh, I need your help, all of this just to get through. And while I'm not ungrateful for some of the support that was given, the keeping me in victim was something that was not serving me. And I saw that very clearly early on, thank God. Because anytime I was interacting with that, that listening of the world of like, you're a victim, I could choose to be like, no, I'm not. I'm really powerful. And I just had to keep doing that over and over and over and over and over again. And honestly, the repetition maybe was helpful for me. But what they didn't do is like, they didn't get down to the root cause. They didn't get down to how I can be responsible for myself. And that's what this work had done for me. It was like, let's get down to the very bottom. And it was like, there were a lot of realizations that came out of that, that it wasn't just like that 4 years ago I had a trauma. It was like, we all don't escape this world without some kind of something that happens in childhood, that happens whenever. And so I got to look even deeper, even farther in the past of, well, how was I responsible, and how did I see the world in the past that's not effective now, that I can move forward? Um, I don't know. It's just
It's two
being able to
totally
take
different
responsibility for
worlds.
myself and the power back in my own life, and that I inherently have that, and that every single person inherently has that. It's like the best kept secret in the world. Why? Everybody is unique and divine and powerful and can create, the life of their dreams or the life of their nightmares. You are that powerful. If you can create a nightmare, you can create a dream. So, once you just uncover some of those layers that you don't even know about, like you can't, like the way that you've been taught in this world, you're not even aware of it. but having somebody like yourself, and your program and the things that we went through, um, really uncover those layers, those realizations, just like opened up like freedom
Yeah.
for me. That was like, oh, like that's the way it was, and I don't. It's just not there anymore. Like I don't. That's not who I am. Like the past doesn't even exist.
Wow.
And I can
That's
continue to live in that past and continue to create a very not very compelling future, or I can see it, acknowledge it, and create whatever I want. Like
that's
but
so
my past
awesome.
does not dictate my future.
Yep. And what we can hear and what you're sharing is that those aren't words to you, because these all sound nice, but it's different when somebody feels and knows that and just lives that like it's true. And it's really remarkable that you went from such a severe trauma that most people would say you would never recover from. I mean, that's what most people would say, into just like it never happened. You're living like your life's better than it ever was, even before the trauma. So thanks for sharing your story. And we can hear that you believe and feel and are experiencing that as your truth. And it's just remarkable. Do you want to share? I don't think we touched on it about, we talk a lot about how autoimmunity and chronic illness and chronic pain that the doctors can't figure out is so connected with trauma. Trauma causes that, that causes trauma. It's a vicious circle. So after you were kind of over that healing journey and you had that blank slate, then what happened? You got a diagnosis of MS, and
Yeah.
that could have been more trauma. Would you share a little bit? What do you want people to know about that and the fact that now you don't even have MS symptoms?
Yeah. No, whatsoever. So yeah, so after I had dealt with all of the court stuff and that had finally completed, I think there was still what I hadn't dealt with, what I hadn't seen yet in that journey was how much I was taking my body for granted. And just not eating well, not sleeping well because I was dealing with trauma consistently. And then it was finally over and it was like there was this void and my body was like, oh hey, I'm here, can you pay attention to me? And the way that it did that was it gave me optic neuritis of my right eye, where the nerve connected to your eye to your brain was inflamed, which is a very common first symptom for women my age, in their mid 30s, to develop MS. So that's just a common first symptom. So ended up in the hospital for a few days, doing all, being poked and prodded, not feeling well, all of that. Um, and then being put on steroids, all of this. And I had a bit of a dark night of the soul at that moment where it was like, I haven't paid attention to my body for so long. And my body's saying, hey, help me, help me. Um, and I absolutely, the doctors won't tell you this. That's just not what they do. That's not what they're trained to do. But like after dealing with trauma hard, pretty severely for 4 years straight, then that happened. To say that that's not connected would be absolutely inauthentic. So I knew it was connected and I decided to, you know, go even deeper. Like what's the root cause? What's going on with this? What is my body trying to tell me? What needs to change? And I really saw at that point that it was like this was time for my rejuvenation. And I chose rejuvenation. And so that's where I've been for the last year almost, of choosing rejuvenation in every moment and paying attention to what my body wants. And then after the initial, scare and almost trauma, being diagnosed with a incurable disease, which incurable bullshit. Sorry, but
Yep, you're spot on.
everything is you can heal your body. So then I got to know how much even more powerful I am, and like be able to heal my body, and I took that on, and with some of your assistance as well. So I just got back this week from from a doctor here, one neurologist said, The lesions are unremarkable. They're something that likely won't cause you any problems because our brains can, like the lesions are so small and they're so faint that your brain will overcome that. And I was like, yeah, I know. I just knew that already. I knew that's what he was going to say. It wasn't, and I created that because I'm powerful, because I got to the bottom of things, completed them, and now I'm free to create whatever I want. Do I want to create my health? How do I want to create my wealth? How do I want to create my contribution? Those are the questions that I get to live in now versus the questions of like, how am I going to like get through this next day? How is the rent going to get paid? How, who do I need to reach out to and like beg for help from? Those questions just don't exist for me anymore. It's like, what lights me up? Do I want to do this today? Great.
That's so powerful. And it's what we teach, but it's so amazing to hear a person who's on the other side who says, yeah, this is my experience. And as I told Melissa as we were preparing for the interview today, I said, it didn't have to go that way with your MS. It doesn't go that way for a lot of you who are stuck in the victim and the trauma cycle and don't have that empowerment and don't have the ability to identify your root causes of your physical, mental, and emotional health and address it and get freed up. And so if you're still experiencing symptoms, it means there's root causes that are actively causing that experience for you that can be addressed right now. So Melissa, is there anything else that you want to tell people about what's possible, about working with us specifically, about where they're at? Is there any parting thoughts that you have?
Probably so many. Let's see here. I think I would start with no, like the thought that got me through from the very beginning was like, this is going to make a difference for me and for the world, and this will improve. Right? Having that and knowing that and just deciding that while there are struggles, just making that decision and staying committed to like, I will heal. This is going to make a difference. You can like, absolutely, you can do it. And it takes a lot of courage. And I acknowledge people for taking it on because it takes courage. What it also takes is having a guide with you and having people surrounding you that are supporting you, that are standing for your greatness rather than your weakness and your victim and all of that, that are just because you can't see it yourself. If you could, you would have already changed. So getting that support from other people, from whatever program, from a call, from anything that lights you up, like do the work. It might not be comfortable, but it's so worth it. What's possible is like you can have a life that you love where you are not hampered by any of it, none of it. And anytime, and life will still throw you things. And now I'm just like, okay, I wonder what the gift in that is. And rather than like, oh, this is the worst thing that has ever happened, and like spiraling down. I just don't operate that way anymore. And that's not like, it's not to say that like that's wrong. That's like what we do as humans. And what's possible is something that you can transcend that. You're so powerful. You are inherently, every single human is so powerful, and you get to create the life that you want. Get the help and the support and the guidance and the mentorship that you need, and like it will, like, oh my God, you can be free, and you are so powerful. That's really it.
So beautiful, and it just rings so yes in my heart because I've lived through this. And to be on the other side and to say, to spend the rest of my life setting people free is my biggest passion. So I just, yes and amen.
Yeah.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, don't believe for 1 second that you can't heal, that like whatever the doctors or whatever the world out there says, just don't believe that for 1 second. You absolutely can heal from trauma. It is not a life sentence. You absolutely can heal. You can be free from it. And you can move forward.
Come on over. The water's safe. We're
Yeah,
swimming in it.
It
So
is.
for those
And it takes a journey. And it takes a journey because you got to dig. Like I said, it takes courage.
It's hard work, but like you said, it is so worth it, and the results are permanent. You don't have to keep facing trauma every day; it's just gone. So for those of you who have been through trauma or who have unexplained autoimmune conditions that you think are now related to your trauma, from Melissa's story, that's what we do here is we identify for each individual the root causes of what they have going on, and that's not one size fits all. That's such a custom picture that your journey will be unique to anyone else's journey. And that's the beauty of this work is it's your root causes, it's your solutions. And so if you are ready and no longer willing to suffer, you're ready to make that decision. This is not going to take me out no matter what it takes. I will have a beautiful life on the other side, just like Melissa chose at the beginning of her journey. I've got a link in the comments to schedule a free breakthrough call with me. And we're going to look at what you have going on and we're going to look at your symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional, practical. We're going to look at your finances. Like she said, constantly scarcity from her trauma versus now she's living in abundance and has an abundance of time, an abundance of money, an abundance of possibility, right? So if you're ready to make that step, click that link, schedule a free breakthrough. And if you're a good fit for our work, awesome. We'll get you started right away. Knowing what those root causes are first, and then knowing exactly the solutions to fix them permanently and quickly. And if you're not a good fit for our work, that's just fine. It's still a life-changing call, and we will let you know up front if you're not a good fit. And if you need something else, we'll help you get the right resources that you need. So that's what we do here at Reclaim Yourself Now with Integrity Wellness Worldwide. And I'm just so excited. Thank you, Melissa, for sharing your journey. Thank you.
I'm honored to share. I'm honored to share my journey. I hope that it inspires and helps somebody along theirs.
Absolutely.
That's like the best outcome I could have ever imagined. So
Absolutely. Same. We so share hearts. So now it's up to you guys. Now it's your turn to heal. And we're happy to be here to help you out. I hope everybody has a great day. And thanks so much.